So, OpenAI just announced something called ChatGPT Pulse. And let me tell you, this is way more than just another feature. It's a sign that they're trying to completely change how we think about and interact with AI, moving it from something that just waits for us to something that, well, thinks ahead. Let's dig into what that actually means.
You know the drill, right? For as long as we've had these tools, it's been a one-way street. We think of a question, we type it in, and the AI gives us an answer. We've always been in the driver's seat, and the AI, well, it's just been a really smart passenger waiting for us to give it the next direction.
But Pulse wants to flip that whole script. It asks this really interesting question. What happens when the AI stops waiting? What if it could actually anticipate what you need, what you're interested in, and just deliver it to you before you even have to ask? Yeah, that's the future OpenAI is trying to build right now.
Okay, so an AI that thinks ahead sounds cool, but what does that really look like in practice? Let's get specific and define what ChatGPT Pulse is all about.
So here's the core idea. Pulse is all about being proactive and super personal. While you're sleeping, it's looking at your past conversations, the feedback you've given it, even apps you've connected, and it's doing research for you. Then, you wake up to these custom-tailored updates all without you having to lift a finger.
Sam Altman himself puts it perfectly. He says to think of it less like a search engine and more like a super competent personal assistant. So you might casually mention you're dreaming of a trip to Bora Bora, and bam, Pulse might proactively start finding you amazing travel deals or cool things to do there.
And this, right here, this is the big deal. It's a fundamental shift, moving us from a reactive model of AI to a proactive one. And honestly, that changes everything about how we use these systems. Just look at this comparison. On the left, that's what we're used to, right? You're the driver, your hands are on the wheel, you give the commands. But on the right, that's the future Pulse is aiming for. The AI becomes your co-pilot. It anticipates the road ahead, it works alongside you, and sometimes it might even take the lead to help you get where you're going.
OpenAI's own Greg Brockman has a name for this. He calls it a background agent. And we're starting to see this concept pop up more and more. These are AIs designed to just work on their own, quietly doing things for you in the background with very little hand-holding. Pulse is a perfect example of this in action.
So that's the grand vision, but how is it landing with actual people? Now that Pulse is out in the wild, let's take a look at those first impressions. Is this thing actually helpful, or is it all just a bunch of hype?
Well, some of the early feedback is really positive. You've got people like Simon Smith who are just blown away. He calls it insanely useful and compares it to a news feed that's perfectly tailored just for you, based on what you've actually been talking about. But not everyone is sold. The skeptics are pointing to the official demo where it gives tips on taking care of a kitten and things to do at an airport, and they're kind of scratching their heads, wondering if this is really the groundbreaking feature that's worth paying extra for.
And then, of course, you've got the folks in the middle. This teak basically says, yeah, I see the potential, but the current version feels a little, well, raw, like an early version of something that could be great. It feels helpful, for sure, but it's pretty clear this is just the first step on a much longer road.
All these mixed reviews really bring up a bigger question. Forget the user experience for a second. What's OpenAI's strategy here? Why is building a proactive AI so important for their business?
Well, it really boils down to two magic ingredients for making an AI truly powerful: context and memory. The more an AI remembers about you and your conversations, the more valuable it becomes to you personally.
See, by digging into your chat history and your connected apps, Pulse builds this incredibly deep, personalized profile of who you are and what you care about. For OpenAI, this creates what they call a defensive moat. The more personalized Pulse gets for you, the more you're going to rely on it. And that makes it almost impossible for a competitor to swoop in and get you to switch. It's a classic user lock-in strategy. This whole strategic play from OpenAI forces us to zoom out and ask a much bigger, almost philosophical question. What do we actually fundamentally want our AI to be? OpenAI's vision is crystal clear. Fiji Simo, who's in charge of their apps, says it right here. They believe AI has to grow up. It can't just be an answer machine anymore. Its real destiny is to anticipate what we need and actively help us get things done.
And that's the real tension, isn't it? OpenAI is betting the farm on this future where AI anticipates our every move. But is that a future that we all actually want? Is that the end goal for every single person using AI?
Because there's a really strong counter-argument here. A lot of power users, they don't want a copilot.
They want a Formula One race car that they can steer with absolute precision. For them, the real value of AI is in the control, the ability to point this incredibly powerful tool at a complex problem and have it do exactly what they say.
So ultimately, this is the crossroads we're at. AI seems to be splitting into two different paths. On one side, you have the proactive assistant that works for you. On the other, you have the powerful tool that works with you. The big question isn't just about what AI can do anymore. It's about the kind of relationship we want to have with it. So what do you want from AI?